everyone, I'm going to show you how to make this crocheted angel. It's setting right now. I just starched it and I'm using this Christmas ornament to hold the shape so the skirt stays circular. If you so choose, you can also glue the ornament on it to have it part of the ornament. So yeah, I'll just take it out right now just for the sake of showing it off. It has these little skirt details, and then I added pearls along the edges of the wings. So yeah, it's a really cute pattern. I have multiple angel videos on my channel, so if you want to do a variety of them so you have different ornaments instead of the same one, this is just a variation of that same pattern that I have up on my page. All right, so we are going to start as always with the magic loop and put 9 double crochets into the loop. And I've started that here. So for the next round, our second round, we are going to put in 2 double crochets into each single space. So this is going to be basically the same pattern as the other patterns for the bodice. I usually just play around with the detailing on the skirt, so the structure of the wings is the same as well. I use a different edging on the wings on this one though, so that last row is a little bit different. So I'm using a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. It is an F, and I'm using DK weight yarn. I really recommend, I've said it before, but the Barocco Simply Soft by, I think it's like 50% nylon, 50% acrylic, and it's really soft, and I think it's great for doing an angel if you're going to give it as like a little doll for a kid or a doll for their doll, since it's so soft. So for the next row, we are going to put a double crochet for the start, and then we're going to double crochet into the first 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got a little sloppy over here, we got some holes, but that's okay. Now this is going to be the foundation for the wings. We're going to do 3 chains and then a double crochet, and we're going to create these little archways. So we want 4 archways. So we have 3 now, and we're going to put in the last one, and then we're going to have another 8 consecutive double crochets. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, we got an extra. All right, so now we're gonna just do the same thing as we did on the other side for the wings. So we do 1 arch, 2 archways, 3, we do chain 3, double crochet, then just chain 3, and then we put it into this original stitch. A little bit hard to use the first, so we're just going to slip back into this one. All right, so we have our foundation round. Now we're going to work the next round. So you start with your faux double crochet, and we're going to work in, sorry, did I take that back? We're going to start now doing single crochets. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet into each of the next spaces. Okay, so now we're going to do double crochets into the wings. So what you do is you anchor your stitch into that first archway by doing a slip stitch. Then you do your first double crochet, and we're going to put 3 separated by 3 chains, followed by 3 more double crochets. If you've already seen the last video, you can just skip ahead until I get to the next row. So you do 3 double crochets, 3 chains, followed by 3 double crochets. So it's starting to look like that. For the pearls, I added those on the next row for the wings. I'm not going to do it here just because it's kind of hard to manage. I use a really thin gold thread that's actually a knitting thread. It's on a cone, and it's half nylon, half polyester, so it's actually really strong. The nylon gives it elasticity, so it doesn't break. So right now I'm going to anchor with a slip stitch into that first stitch of the row, chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet across the next part of the body. So yes, for the gold thread, I use a knitting thread, and I string on the pearls with a sewing needle because it's that thin. And then as you're crocheting, you pull in each of the pearls. But like I said, it's kind of a lot of finagling, and it's a little bit tedious too. It's a little more slower going, so you can decide to do that if you want to get beads or pearls. And like I said, I recommend kind of using a knitting thread, a knitting yarn, or something that has nylon. I'm not a sewer, so there's probably good thread out there too. It's just kind of a nice shimmery look when you're knitting it on. And that yarn is actually from Yeoman Yarns in England, in the UK. It's called Rexor, R-E-X-O-R. I can put a link in the description. And I've actually used it in a lot of projects. It's a really nice accent if you want to spiff up some yarn. So we've done our first row. We're going to anchor back into that first stitch, and we're going to do a chain 1, and then we're going to go single crochet into those stitches on the first round. So yeah, I've been playing around with how I attach the pearls. I can show you in this one. I did it a little bit differently. I ended up, so I bound off, as you can see on this one. I haven't done that side. And then I went back over with a crochet hook, and I just added those second. So there's kind of more of the gold showing underneath. And what I ended up doing is kind of popping them through the double crochets to keep them really in place. So yeah, this is a different pattern that I'm going to be doing another video on. It's a textured ruffle. There's layers of it. So we're onto the wing row. So now we're gonna do a different design than the last video. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the fringe kind of look on the edge of the wings. It's actually on here. It's this. We're not gonna leave them plain like that. We're gonna add a little ruffle. So what you do is you do your double crochet and then you do that same anchoring technique where you do the little picot on the top of that double crochet. So you double crochet into that space. We have one here, one here, one here. Double crochet into the space, and then you do 3 chains, and then you anchor it back into the top of that double crochet. And we're gonna do that 5 times total. And so this just creates like a little picot, little bobbly fringe at the end of the wing, just to mix up the shaping and add some variety. Like I've mentioned before, I like to always kind of change up the pattern I'm doing, just so I can like learn how different things look and just experiment. It's fun to see how you can modify things. All right, so we're on to the next space. We're doing our double crochets into the space, 3 chains, anchor, double crochet, 3 chains. This is the bar that you want to go through. It's kind of hard to see. So when you're doing this last part of the double crochet, these are going to be the 2 stitches that you're going to go back through. It's those last 2 bars of your double crochet. And it's easier to see once you're holding your work and you're doing it. You can kind of get a better feel for those 2 bars. They're hard to see right here. So we have 1, 2. 1, 2, oh, sorry. In between, we're gonna do a chain 1, and then we're gonna anchor a double crochet in these 3 in between. So you do chain 1, and then you're back to the next little peak. So yeah, it's hard to see, but there's a space in between these 2 sections, 3 and 3, so you go ahead and go into the space to anchor in between. So yeah, I'm liking how this is looking. It's a little bit more of a flared, textured wing. You can play around with like adding like 5 archways here to really create a flared wing. I don't think I've done it in either of these, but I've done it before and it really kind of jacks it up higher. It's a cool look. This one has 4. Let's see, I have 1 more. This is the original that has the first tutorial, the skirt, the plain skirt. These also have 4, but I did a different method of crocheting on the little pearls. This is the Barocco yarn I was recommending. It's just amazing. I ended up starching this one to see if it would hold, but the yarn is so thick that it didn't even put a dent in the fabric. There's a lot of air that gets trapped, so it would be warm too. It's a fluffy yarn. It's hard to describe. There's a lot of cush to it. All right, we have 4. So yeah, we're doing 5. This is our last one. We anchor. Then we do our chain 1, our anchor stitch. To have it less obvious, you can do it into this space instead of this wider gap. Depends on the look you like. So yeah, I encourage you to look up different crochet patterns once you get down the gist of the shaping of this. You can really mix up the designs on the skirt on your own. with a variety of like popcorn stitches or like star stitches. You can really make them pretty fun. You can mix patterns by doing a row of one design, like a star, and then like another row of popcorn. So yeah, it's very customizable. All right, so we're done with that. We're going to anchor back into our first round, and this is the effect. So this is going to be cool. This is the wing from the side. Oh, that's cute. Okay. So now we're going to single crochet back across our body row. And this is our last round of single crochets. We have 2 rounds of single crochets across the body, and that allows the wings to be pretty flared out compared to the torso. So now we're going to start on the Picot little puff in our next round of the wing. We're working into these spaces. Oh no, I'm missing one here. Wow, I am a great teacher at this point. But as I'll show you, there's always a way to hack it somehow, and every angel is different. There's no perfect angel. At this point, I'm like, all right, I've worked this far, I'm not gonna rip it out. You can pretty much make it pretty similar. So I am a little distracted with doing this tutorial, so we'll just chalk it up to that. Sometimes you kind of have to muscle a bit through those top 2 bars. So yeah, it's never too early to start on your Christmas decorations. These take about an hour to make, including the head. I'm going to do a separate video since they all have the same pattern for the head. It's pretty simple and straightforward. But yeah, I would say just make a few of these here and there, and then by Christmas you'll have lots of gifts or decorations or whatever. It's funny, last year I learned how to make these, and I actually just kind of kept them on hand, and whenever someone came over kind of unexpectedly or I just needed a quick little gift, I would give them away. I think anyone who crafts or makes things will really appreciate it. I always understand the value of the handmade. You can find a local flea market or craft fair too. There's usually a lot of local holiday sales that you can submit to and have a little booth. So it's a fun way to just be with your community too in the holiday season. We have one in an old mill, and it's always packed. And it's so fun to see all the different vendors. There's yarn, like local yarn that's from local farms. All right, so this is just one short. You can kind of put another one in here if we want to keep a symmetrical wing, but it really won't show up. I'll just show you for the sake of it. I was thinking of going in here, just adding another poof. Yeah, I like to also add either velvet ribbons are my favorite, or like a satin ribbon around the waist, as you see here. You can kind of weave it through these little spaces, or you can just really tie it around the waist and cinch it there. I think it really adds to it and makes it really cute. I was thinking these could also be a kind of cute christening gift. I know, like, if the baby's wearing the long kind of white lacy dress, it would kind of almost look like a little matching replica of the baby. Be a cute little gift for a christening party. My cousin's having twins in January, so I'm thinking of sending her two of these little guys. I don't know if they're boys or girls, so I'm gonna just kind of do a plain, no pearls, no ribbons, because I'm not sure the gender. So they can have them on their tree when they're waiting for their babies that are coming in the winter. You can also make the dress like pink. I've done one like that, and I did the lining or the edging with the white and the head in white, so you can really play around too. You can make it kind of a doll dress or whatever you think. So there's my modified version. Now it's truly even on both sides. All right, so now here's for the design. I'm gonna take these out of the way just so we have space. You see here, the skirt starts a little differently. So we're gonna do our first double crochet, and this round is actually the same as the other one. And then after that it's different. So you're gonna do a chain one and then a double crochet, and you're gonna do this all throughout this row on the body, and then we're gonna turn it and connect to the other side. So now we're gonna basically join the flat piece in the round to make it a body. So we're gonna fold, flip, do our chain one, and then we go into our first stitch over here. So we're joining in the round, chain one, double crochet, chain one, double crochet. So you want to have an odd row on one side and an even on the other. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to join to the first stitch. You're going to chain 3, and you're going to go into the space above the next chain stitch. Chain 3, go into the next space of the chain, or the next double crochet, and just do a single crochet in there. So chain 3, go into the next double crochet and do a double crochet. Chain 3, and then anchor it into the next double crochet. Chain 3, anchor into the next double crochet. Chain 3, anchor. So you're going to create these little almost triangle looking things. Chain 3, go into your next double crochet. Chain 3, next double, chain 3, next double. So yeah, it's kind of hard to see. Once it gets stretched out just from like starching it and hanging it, you'll see that it's this little triangle nub. So you're working into every double crochet space. So you go into this double crochet, chain 3, and go into the top of the double crochet. All right, for the next round, we are going to do, I'm trying to show it. Should I take the ribbon off? No. So we're gonna put a picot at the top of the triangle. So what we're gonna do is connect to our initial starting place. We're gonna slip stitch into the archway, slip stitch again outside the archway, slip stitch into the archway, and then find the top of that crochet, the double crochet. So that kind of just puts you back up to the starting place here. It's not very visible. All right, so now we're gonna do a picot. So we do three chain stitches, and then we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chain stitches in between the picots. And then you find that next little triangle right here. You go into the top of it with a slip stitch, and then you chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then slip back into that to create your little picot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separates them. You anchor into the top of that double crochet. You do your picot of 3. You anchor it back with a slip stitch into the top of that double and chain 5. So this is how that looks. You can make your picot bigger. You can do a chain 4 or 5, depending on how long you want it. So you find that double crochet, you do an anchor, you do a chain 3, anchor to create your picot. You can also do a single crochet and then your picot and then another single crochet to anchor it. It just adds a little bit more bulk to the picot as well, a little more width. All right, so we're coming to the end of the round. This is our last one. So we anchor, do our 3, anchor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we made it back to the beginning. And you're just gonna anchor back into that first picot with a slip stitch. So this is how we're looking. Here's the picots. Here's this little triangle. Now we're on to the next round. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna now work into the spaces in between the picots. So what I do is I slip stitch to the other side of the picot. I chain 1 outside of it, chain 1 on the inside, so that kind of puts us in the middle of our space. And then we're gonna start by doing a chain of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're gonna attach it to that next space with a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You find the next space, and you anchor it with a single crochet. You can also modify this If you want there to be a bigger space, if you want it to be a more exaggerated drapey effect, you can add more. You can go like up to 10, you can go down if you still want it pretty tight, you can do 5 again. Alright, so now we're going to find that first stitch and anchor back. Awesome. Alright, so now we're going to do the next row, which is, believe it or not, these whole things followed by this little picot. So we have these loopy loops and then picot, loop-de-loop, picot. So we're going to do the same thing here as I did before. We're going to slip stitch into that first archway, outside of it, inside of it, outside of it, inside of it. So you just kind of get up. We're going to take out 2 of these. You just make sure you get to the center spot without making it too thick. So there we go. So now we're starting from the point here. So we're gonna work on this big little, that makes sense. This loop, okay. So we're gonna start out by chaining 4, and we're gonna basically just create a strand of picots. So you anchor back into that first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the chain of 3. Right here is the picot. And then this 4th stitch is our base that we're creating. So you go back into that 4th one. So we're going to do 4 of these in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to chain 5 because we're going to skip a space here and we're going to go into that 4th one. So we're just creating an extra space. So that's like the pinnacle of that loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 4 on the other side, so we're symmetrical. All right, so now we got this long chain of picots. And we're just going to go back in to that same stitch. We really want to make sure we get into this part so it stays together. It doesn't get stretched out. I'll show you again. All right, so now we're going to do the middle picot. Chain 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go into that 4th, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to anchor back in the next. Anchor with a single crochet because we're gonna go back into this one when we're done coming around. So we're going into each of these and we're separating with 1 picot here. So we do a row of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, with 4 on each side. So once you get to here, you do 5, and you anchor into that 4th, leaving a space. 5, leave space, anchor into the 4th with a slip. So now we're going down the other side. You want 4 more on this side. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to end it here after I anchor this one. You want to go back into that first single crochet. That's how that looks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go 1, 2, 3 out, and you anchor back into the 4th. You do 1, 2, 3. You find your next space and single crochet. And you can definitely change the length of these. You can do 3, 2, like 2 up the side, 3 up the side. You can even just do 3 in total, do 1, 2, and then a middle one. Whatever suits your fancy. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the rest of it, but that's the pattern you follow. That's how it looks. And then I recommend starching it on a circular object so it really holds the form that you want. So this is this exact pattern, just without the pearls and without the bow. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.